Great. So another segment that that we love to feature, just to bring some positivity to the NFL, is cause in the NFL. And so before we move on to cause, again, just a quick video segment, and then we will move into today's
I
cause.
think it's really nice that someone like Hayden Hurst is coming out and being like, look, you're not alone. I'm
Hmm.
a big, tough football player, and look at me. Like, I went through it too. Like, anybody can go through it. Doesn't matter how, like, if you're an athlete, if you're a man.
All right. So today we are actually going to feature the Charles Tillman Cornerstone Foundation. And Bears fans everywhere, we know who Charles Peanut Tillman is. It was always exciting to see that man punch out a football. I mean, people went to learn how he did that. But anyway, besides that, he has an amazing foundation that I'm going to talk about today. So, the Cornerstone Foundation was created to help the immediate needs of all families with no restrictions concerning financial status or medical conditions. So basically, this foundation was created to help family with children who have chronic illnesses so that they don't go into medical debt, right? I don't think people know about medical debt. And so he created this foundation with his wife, Tina, to help alleviate a lot of that burden of, parents having to be in the hospitals, almost every day, or taking their children back, and just scared, and, not sure of who to turn to or where to go. And so he created this foundation in order to help alleviate uh, a lot of that. And it was created in 2005. They have a few different programs, and so I will describe a few of those for you. So again, there's Charles Locker. This in Charles Locker, it enriches the lives of chronically critically ill children by providing them and their families with access to iPads, notebook computers, DVD players. I know people don't think about that, but it's just so while they're in treatment, they have something to kind of keep them and pass the time during recovery, right? And so these are like the areas where the hospitals where he launched this: Ann and Robert H. Lurie Children's Hospital, Advocate Children's Hospital in Park Ridge, Advocate Hope Children's Hospital, Ron McDonald's House, Rush Children's Hospital, University of Chicago Medicine Comer Children's Hospital, and Edward Hines. So again, Charles Locker delivers these things for families so that they're able to kind of pass the time, when they're in recovery or treatment. Because it is very difficult and challenging, and people out there who've dealt with chronic illnesses or have family members that do, especially with children, it can be very hard and just difficult to kind of watch and deal with. They also do holiday celebrations every December. They bring Santa and their elves to visit Chicago area hospitals, to pass out gifts, to visit with families, to partake in these activities, and to spread holiday cheer, just to try to combat the innocent, the loss of innocence, right? And so they try to bring that cheer. Um, they also have the Tend Her Heart Luncheon, which I think is really beautiful. Each spring, more than 150 mothers of critically and chronically ill children are invited to attend a special brunch honoring them for their sacrifices that they've made in caring for their ill child. And so this is a day to honor those moms and parents, to take a minute to enjoy themselves and be in company of each other and show support to each other as moms of children with chronically ill children. So it is a day to pamper them and honor them and everything that they do. There's also the Tiana Fund. This actually provides assistance for economically at-risk persons and families in need, that will strengthen their ability to care for themselves, enhance their stability and security, and improve their quality of life, so that they can actually, pay bills. I don't think people kind of realize that, right? And so while they're caring for their child, they don't go into medical bankruptcy, and that they have some money and some relief to be able to pay those bills and the different things that kind of come, that don't stop just because your child got sick, right? So
Right.
and so those are four of the big programs that they do. We always show a little video, so I'm going to set that up. It's like 5 minutes, but it explains why Charles Tillman and his wife decided to kind of go with this. And so I'm going to mute myself, and then we're going to share the videos. Give me 1 second.
I couldn't buy health for my daughter. She was diagnosed with dilated cardiomyopathy. And as a result, I had money, I could buy anything I want, but I couldn't buy health for my daughter. She was diagnosed with dilated cardiomyopathy. And as a result of that, she had to have a heart transplant. I just wanted her to be healthy.
I'm Jerry Stackhouse. I spent my off-season traveling around the country meeting with athletes, visiting their local communities and talking about issues that are important to them and affect all of us. I'm here in Chicago, Illinois to meet Charles Tillman. Charles played 12 seasons in the NFL for the Chicago Bears. We're here to discuss an organization he launched in 2005 to help critically and chronically ill children, the Charles Tillman Cornerstone Foundation.
Having your daughter almost die twice with some of the best technology in the world, some of the best surgeons, I focus more on helping sick kids and families. I was at practice one day and got a phone call. They said, hey, man, they're taking your daughter to the hospital. You need to get out of here. We finally get to the hospital and doctors are running, a battery of tests. And then finally they diagnose her with dilated cardiomyopathy and they say, we're gonna have to list her on the transplant list. So you're like, transplant list? Like a heart transplant? I've lived in the hospital for 4 months, sleeping on those chair beds. I remember all the different noises, the beeps, the machines, the ambulance echoing in the background all the time. When a kid gets really sick, there's like an alarm that'll just go off. And then you see everyone just storm into room 12. And you know it's something bad.
Jaheim was diagnosed at birth with hypoplastic left heart syndrome, which typically means one of the chambers in his heart was unable to get enough blood to the brain. So at this point, we're just waiting on a donor heart. It's very challenging to wait and to have your son cry and tell you, why is everyone getting their heart? When is mine gonna come? And you don't have an answer to give them. The only thing you can tell them is that we're just waiting on the perfect heart,
Why do you think it's so vital for an organization like this to exist?
About 1/3 of the children in Chicago technically fall under the poverty line, and that creates a whole slew of challenges for families who have a child with chronic medical needs. Charles and Jackie Tillman and the Cornerstone Foundation fill a gap in resources for these families.
We don't just focus on the sick child, the patient. We try to focus on the family. Mortgage, rent, bills, stuff like that. So we have a program called the Tiana Fund, and we give out these micro grants to families.
It allows them to be present at the hospital while their child is undergoing medical treatment and to not have to worry about taking time off work and being paid for that time.
It's valuable to me and to him as well to know there's help out there from someone that's been through it, even in the same hospital that you've been in, and know that his daughter is alive and well and doing good. That's why I think it's a great experience for him to meet Charles Tillman.
So what we playing? Oh, we on Xbox, huh? Let me see. Jaheim, this game right here, man.
Where would you be without Cornerstone Foundation's assistance?
The Cornerstone, they took care of our rent at home because we were in the hospital about 4 or 5 months then. We pretty much just go day by day. We would be in a bad situation as far as healthcare goes because we can't do it as far financially.
I've seen some families, their child gets sick, mom and dad both work, mom has to quit hers, now you're on one income. It just kind of brings everything down.
I ain't done this in so long. Don't think because you a kid now that I'm gonna take it easy on you.
You do a great job with that, man. That's, seeing you spend time with them, it seems like you really have a passion.
Being in a hospital, it can be a tough time. So you really try to just let them enjoy that moment of laughter. I think that's probably one of the best medicines there is out there. It's just laughing, just having a good time.
These little masks let you know if your breath stink. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Anybody got some gum?
I don't do this just to do it. Like, I've lived it. I've done it. and you see things differently than everybody else. You think differently because of the state that you're in, and you see life for what it really is. You know, they're worrying about their child being healthy. They're worrying about if they're going to die. They're worrying about how they're going to go on and learn this new normal. That was me 9 years ago. And you don't forget that.
During a family emergency, Charles Tillman noticed a problem and came up with a solution. It's heartwarming to see how his Cornerstone Foundation has helped so many children during the most vulnerable stage of their lives. There's hope in Chicago.
All right. I cried.
I know that was a hard one. I know.
Oh, baby sick with cancer. Oh, I can't do it. It reminds me of St. Jude, and those commercials just wrench at your heart. But oh, kudos to him and what he's doing for the city of Chicago and those families. Oh, that just makes me feel so good.
I know. I was like, to hear the families, like, you know, and like what they're going through and the gratitude. I can't even imagine. I'm not a parent, but I can't imagine. Like, and thank you, Peanut. Thank you.
Yeah, no kidding. I remember like how Nora was really sick when she was a baby, and we were in Mott's Children's Hospital. And it takes me back to the time when like the football players show up and they visit the kids, and how much that means to them, and how that lifts their spirits and lifts them up. So when a famous sports person comes into your hospital room to cheer you up and to give you hope and to do those things, and to know that they can humble themselves to do that, it's just incredible to me, because I wish every sports athlete out there could just humble themselves to do these good services and these good works in all their communities, because it's the fans that really give back to them by coming and cheering them on and making sure that they feel valued and well recognized when they're on the field, buying their jerseys, you know, all of the swag that goes into making these players who they are. So it's really good to see the players give back. It just blesses my heart.
I love the look on their faces, right? He was making them laugh, and you know, but yeah, honestly, I knew, because I'm from Chicago, that his daughter was sick, but I didn't know it was that grave. I didn't know that poor baby needed a transplant, but I'm glad she's okay now. So what do you think, Tina, about Peanut and his organization? Oh, you're muted.
I forgot I did that.
Okay.
I think it's a great foundation, and I've always thought that it was a worthy one. And the biggest thing for me is the fact that he recognizes what a chronic illness, or a really bad illness like a transplant or liver disease or things like that, how much the family, because the child's only going to do as well as the parents if they're there with them. And so medical bankruptcy is like one of the number one reasons for people filing bankruptcy, is because they get behind on everything. And I think that's just great. I mean, I have a stepmom who's on a liver transplant list, and explaining to family why it takes so long is hard, but trying to explain to a child.
Oh, I know that, Dad. Oh,
that was the part that I lost it, with the dad saying, we're just looking for the perfect heart.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's hard. So it's a phenomenal foundation, and I've given to it in the past, and I'll always give money for something like that. So
yeah, that cause, I agree. That's just okay.
All causes are worthy, but that's just one that kind of hits, because I also had a sister that was born mentally and physically disabled. So my parents, I was in and out of children's hospitals a lot when I was a kid. So something like this, just it goes so far.
Yeah, it does.
Helps so many people.
My mother went through it with my older brother, who passed away actually waiting for a transplant. He was only 27. It's, yeah, I know. It's not as raw as it was, obviously, because it's been decades, but she was in it. She was one of those moms in and out of the hospital. He had open heart surgery when he was just 12, and so yeah, I definitely understand what that feels like. And so I'm very proud of Tillman and his wife of taking this on, because the fact that they recognize that they have some privilege because they have money, they understood the pain, but they knew that they wouldn't be suffering financially, like average families. And so I'm glad that they looked at that side and said we have to start kind of helping these parents. And so
Yeah.
all right. So from that emotional, like
Oh,
Dropping secrets left
I
and
know.
right.
My goodness.